So last Wednesday I reviewed a cheesy yet fun alien movie. Today I'm reviewing a masterpiece of an alien movie. Aliens was released in 1986, 30 years ago, directed by James Cameron. The movie was made 7 years after Alien from Ridley Scott in 1979, but takes place 57 years after the events of Alien. Basically, Ripley has been floating around in space in hypersleep for 57 years until she gets picked up by a salvage crew. As she's getting back on her feet, we learn that the planet LV-426 that she and her crew visited back in the first Alien movie has now been colonized, but communication with the colony goes out, and the company and the Marine Corps suspect that it's xenomorph activity, which are the name of the aliens. Ripley at first refuses to go down there because she doesn't want any part of this whole fiasco, but her constant night terrors, waking up from bad dreams, has forced her to go, you know what? The only way I'm ever going to get any sleep is if I see this problem dealt with and that they're wiped out for good. So Ripley, an employee from the company, and a group of overconfident colonial marines head down to LV-426 where they have to deal with the alien infestation. Aliens is one of those movies that is often regarded as being one of the best sequels ever made, and it is, rightfully so. But for me personally, it's really hard for me to pick which one I prefer, Alien or Aliens. While Aliens is a sequel to Alien, both movies feel completely different. Alien is more horror science fiction. This is more action science fiction with horror elements to it. And in that sense, it's more accessible to mainstream audiences. Apparently, a lot of people saw Aliens before seeing Alien. I saw it the reverse. I saw Alien before seeing Aliens, which doesn't really matter too much because Aliens, like Cameron's other great sequel, Terminator 2, doesn't require you to watch the first movie to know what's going on. They fill you in at the beginning. Sigourney Weaver is back once again as Ellen Ripley, and she is phenomenal in this movie. She's really intense, caring, tough, and this was the first movie that got her first Oscar nomination for Best Actress. Even though she didn't win the award, her nomination is still considered a landmark within the Oscars because the Academy hardly gives any recognition to horror, fantasy, or science fiction films. So even today, her nomination is still a milestone. And you have a lot of other great actors and characters in this movie. You have 3 Terminator alumni, Lance Henriksen as the android Bishop, and what's cool about him is the small conflict between him and Ripley. Because of the events of the first Alien, Ripley does not trust androids, even though Bishop is a much newer model. And eventually, she has to gain his trust when our characters are in a life and death situation. Then we have Michael Biehn, who plays one of the Colonial Marines, Hicks, who is sort of the leading man kind of guy in this movie. He starts out as kind of cocky. He's like the most casual of the Colonial Marines, and he's really likable in the role. He's really likable and tough at the same time. Then you have Bill Paxton, who is totally over the top. He plays the Marine Hudson, who's probably the most memorable of the bunch. He has a cocky attitude, but he freaks the fuck out when things go horribly wrong. Once the aliens start attacking, he just loses his shit and he panics almost every scene until Ripley and Hicks go, shut the fuck up. We need you to act tough in this situation. Now let's talk about the Colonial Marines as a whole. When I first saw this movie and we were introduced to all the Marines, I was like, I hate every one of these people. They're just a bunch of assholes. They're overconfident jocks. Even the women, like Vasquez, they're just overconfident and cocky. But then once shit hits the fan, I really start feeling for the Marines, since their overconfidence was their weakness against the aliens. And by the time we get to the 3 surviving Marines, Vasquez, Hicks, and Hudson, I basically start the movie by going, man, what a bunch of dickheads. And then as the movie goes on and people are getting killed off, I'm like, no, I don't want that person to die. No, not that Marine. And plus, the point where I started to like the surviving Marines, Vasquez, Hudson, and Hicks, was during the middle of the movie, which I gotta admit is a slow burn. The middle of the movie is very slow paced, but I feel like that was the intention because you have these characters in a dire situation and they don't know if they're going to make it out. They're working their damnedest, but they don't really feel like they're getting much done, which goes well with the slow pacing of the middle part. But once it's action-packed, it is action-packed. The action scenes in this movie are really entertaining. Fun to watch. You got great sound effects for the pulse rifles, and the aliens look better than ever. Their designs are slightly different from the one in Alien. For example, they have rigid heads and not a dome head. The alien animatronics and suits were done by Stan Winston's company, who originally did The Terminator with James Cameron. They built about 6 aliens, and the way the movie portrays these aliens is pure genius. It's like the Jaws effect. All of the aliens are presented in the shadows, and they're moving so quickly that you really don't get a good look at them. And because they move a lot faster than the original Alien did, it makes them even, I feel like it makes them even more intense, especially since there's more than one alien this time around. And then the Queen alien is a really unique creation and a masterpiece of animatronics. It's so big, it has so many arms that it has to move around, its head moves around, and when we're introduced to the Queen for the first time, it is a very creepy and intense scene. It's near the finale, and the whole finale of the movie is really nail-biting. You're on the edge of your seat because you care about what's going on. You want to see Ripley win the day. You want to see the alien queen get destroyed. It's really, this whole movie is a masterpiece from beginning to end. But if I had one little thing to nitpick, it's with Newt. The character of Newt is played by Carrie Henn. Newt's important throughout the story because it gives Ripley a motivation to want to really destroy these aliens. Newt is essentially a driving force for Ripley's character, but the acting from her is terrible. I mean, I do get the sense that she's supposed to be in shock and traumatized by seeing her parents get killed by the aliens, but just on an acting level, she's bad. But like I said, the character is important to the story and to Ripley's character, and it is a nitpick because Aliens is just amazing all around. You got memorable characters, great lines like, "Game over, man, game over! The fuck are we gonna do?" And "Get away from her, you bitch!" And then it's also got a really great score by James Horner, who sadly passed away last year. His score for Aliens is one of the reasons that helped make this movie so intense. There's a lot of percussion instruments going on, but it's really heart-pounding, and it is really a great score. It got him his first Oscar nomination. And even though he and James Cameron had arguments on this movie to the point where James Horner said, "I'm never working with James Cameron again," the two of them would eventually re-team for Titanic and Avatar. So don't really count out anything yet. So I don't know what there is to say about Aliens that hasn't been said throughout the whole 30 years of its existence. It's a masterpiece. It is one of the best sequels ever made. You have to see this movie before you die. So my rating stands as get off your ass and go see it right now if you haven't, because Aliens truly is one of the great timeless classics. And that's my review for James Cameron's Aliens. I hope you enjoyed this review. I can't wait to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the movie. Like, comment, subscribe, share me with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Rift.tv, and you can go over to patreon.com if you want to help support the channel. If you don't, you're still getting awesome content. It's just if you go on Patreon and support, you get some rewards. And again, it's patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson. For the rest of the week, I'm going to be uploading some stuff that's on SoundCloud, that's not on YouTube, in prep for closing my SoundCloud account permanently. So keep your eyes open tomorrow for my commentary on The Ridiculous Six from January of this year. So until then, this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.